Florida may be known as the Sunshine State, but is notorious for wet weather. And once again, Mother Nature has thrown a curveball on a powerhouse that already comes with its own special anxiety. Those who have struggled into the second weekend of this championship may have a chance, as the swampy slop serves as a great equalizer. From Florida Sports Park in Naples, it's round 3 of the All-Star Monster Truck Tour Monster Mashers Championship Series. You know, it seems we can't get away from the rain this year already. After a sunny round 2, we are back on sloppy soil after torrential rains that rolled in right at pit party, but the fans hung in there. The question is, will anybody hit the big jump? As the sippy hole is always a point of contention in freestyle. A lot of guys think you have to have it to get a freestyle win here. It may not come into play, as you see over the area there where the takeoff is for the sippy hole. It's not underwater, but it is under about a foot of slop, and there is no traction to be had on that end of the course, as the 6 machines on hand, 4 of which are getting ready to try to knock down the points-leading family, the Zimmers. John Zimmer Jr. on top, rolling into this week's action by 7 points on his father, John Zimmer Sr. in uproar. And then Plain Crazy, right now the hope for the Robbins family, sitting down with 85 points in the number 3 spot, followed by Colossus by 1 point, and Crazy Train, the defending champ from last year, who had a disastrous weekend in Brooksville, Florida, after engine problems plagued them all weekend long. He is leading number 6, Little Miss Dangerous, who also suffered mechanical issues. Now, Montana Robbins out of Lawton's, New York, sitting number 3 in points right now. He's going to try to gain some ground right here in Best Trick on the Zimmers, and he is starting off strong. Found a little dry spot there, as the crews came out earlier today and turned this dirt over and over as much as they could in the competition area, and they managed to get this little section of track pretty dry, especially for the race course we will have here later today. A little bit different than what we've seen here in the past. We'll tell you about that momentarily. Right now, though, Montana Robbins looking to set the stage for the rest of the competitors here in Naples, Florida. Found him a little dry spot up there on the islands. Actually, the whole top of that island is dry if you walk across it. I don't know why the silt simply will not let the water make mud up there. I'm not quite sure what the phenomenon is, but the top end of this track is staying nice and dry, and that'll be helpful to us later on in racing as Montana Robbins again sets the pace. We wait to hear what the score is from Chuck Plumley and Brian Wagner, who are down here with us.
And the score is in for Plain Crazy. 6 points for Montana Robbins in the Plain Crazy.
There you hear it. Montana Robbins opening things up with 6 points out of a potential 10. 10 points available in Best Trick competition here this weekend in Naples, Florida. And you can see it's another expanded Best Trick competition. They're going to let you get away with a few extra moves because of the rain. Now, Athena Cozell out of Mount Pleasant, Texas, getting things started off in the Little Miss Dangerous, representing the parent family out of Michigan on the old Sinistar chassis, built by Brian Bartle. Trying to get the hang of this thing in her rookie year. It is not easy to do so, and she has not been gifted anything at all this year. One good day of weather so far, and the truck had engine problems now as her teammate and boss, Elliott Miller, rolls out of Ionia, Michigan in Colossus. Trying to one-up Montana Robbins. Nicely done, Miller. Getting the stoppie. I don't know if he bettered Plain Crazy. We'll wait and see. As he cuts his way through the muck down here on the front stretch of Florida Sports Park. Nice hang time back up onto the island. Miller laying down his shot. I don't know if it's going to be enough to jump over Plain Crazy, but it was a pair of good moves out of the Big Blue Chevy from Cold Country. A score of 5, 1 point short. Montana Robbins remains in the number 1 spot. Now the soon-to-be Hall of Famer legend in the sport, John Zimmer, out of Howell, Michigan, in uproar. Out of Michigan by way of Arlington, Vermont. Representing Sendit Motorsports and North Star Ranch contract carriers. This is a big, big area, but there is not a whole lot out there to hit. Again, the rain really cutting into a lot here this weekend, including track construction. Zimmer wrecking the grass out there, sending silt everywhere. Those new BKTs digging in, and again, I don't know if that's going to be enough to better that 6. You can see nice hang time right there. Score of 6. They put him in line with Montana Robbins. I don't know that Montana's going to agree with that. But right now, it could come down to a cheer-off. Now, the defending champ from 2023, Triton Robbins, trying to get some revenge for a bad weekend last weekend in the Tampa, Florida area. Luckily did not pop a motor, but he did lock one up at the end of the week. Actually about mid-show on Sunday afternoon. Right now, though, doing what he does best, just walking it back and forth. The Eddie Micah built Crazy Train out of the Buffalo, New York area. Starting off his attempt strong in best trick competition, trying to get those points on. Wants to get out of that number 5 spot. We'll see if he can gain back some of that lost honor. Lining it up for some big air, and this is one of the few competitions where you don't have to go move to move. Well, going for a stoppie up onto the island, and that might have been a mistake. That grass is still kind of slick up there. I don't know if you can do that on a day like this. Remember, though, this is an amended best trick competition, so he has another shot here. Trying to get that big hang time. We'll see what the score comes out to as Crazy Train looking to better his own brother right now. This could take away Montana Robbins' chances to jump ahead in the points. Score of 7. So he does jump ahead. The stoppie and the walk that he did earlier was enough to take the lead. John Zimmer Jr. now coming out of Howell, Michigan, representing the North Star Ranch Contract Carriers Sendit Motorsports team. Gets the stoppie. Now, he's got to come up with something to set himself apart. Holding it in there, look at it, just finds that happy place, and it just hangs there on the front tires. Oh yeah, that'll set him apart right there. Moonwalk into a popper and wheelies it off of the obstacle, and the team that he's going after right now, the Robbins family, was even applauding that one. You can see Montana with his arms up in the background. That was a heck of a move for the old 41 Willis. Brand new truck for this year. They spent summer and fall testing this truck and Uproar, getting them perfect for this season. You can see they're working very, very well. Went with a little bit lighter weight chassis than what a lot of guys are running now. This one, a Concussion Motorsports built piece, and it's actually helping them out. I think running a little bit less weight. Definitely helping them out. Massive hang time for the big black machine out of Michigan. Terminal velocity, launching it into low orbit. Putting that Richard Midget horsepower to work. John Zimmer Jr. in terminal velocity. I'm going to guess that's a takeover run right there. We're going to find out in just a moment as we wait on the scores. Brian Wagner and Chuck Plumley down here having a talk over. Look at the massive hang time. He almost cleared the drone. A 9, not a perfect 10, but he will take the number 1 spot as he comes up on the front stretch wall to talk to Chuck Plumley.
Way more picture of mud when you talk. So not only was the stopping sick as hell, bro, but when you came around the turn, all of us were thinking the same thing. Where is he going? And then 50 feet in the air, you launch the terminal velocity, you pick up the best trick win. Dude, these All-Star fans are getting crazy.
Yeah, I was watching everyone, knowing I'm going last. Everyone's just throwing it down out here, so I got to turn it up a notch. Got a 6, stop me into a combo, just like in the arena, pulled it into a wheelie, quick little jump down. I was just searching out there. I was driving around. I was lost. I seen that big jump cut out. I knew I just had to go for that thing, hit that thing wide open.
This presentation is brought to you by Monsters Monthly, your place for photos, videos, event info, and all the happenings in the monster truck industry. Visit monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For a weekly look inside the wide world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, Monster Truck Podcast. Available on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. This program is brought to you by RPM Army. For a wide array of content from across the motorsports world, visit rpmarmy.com. Your high-performance fix on the go.
Back at Florida Sports Park in Naples on a rainy afternoon. We're going to take you through qualifying and round 1 highlights. It happened a little bit earlier. First up, the qualifying round on a Z-shaped obstacle course, totally different from anything we've had here in the past. They're going to race off of this island as Elliott Miller took his shot. You'll get a good look at this track here. Off the first island, down into the center track, up onto the second island. Then they're going to take a right-hand turn from across the island, down the access road, and a left-hand turn out onto a very sloppy front stretch. You can see they struggle to find traction there. Miller, a decent run, but he was assessed a 5-second penalty for failing to go around the turn pylon. There you see Jeff Perrin, the man behind the namesake of Little Miss Dangerous that the Sinistar Motorsports team is carrying this year. He's discussing exactly what I just said, the visibility on this track to see those pylons. And it would be a point of contention all through the qualifying session as terminal velocity would roll out. John Zimmer Jr. to take his qualifying run. Now, keep in mind, at this point, Triton Robbins had already made a qualifying run, and he had struggled with those turn markers as well. Different visibility in this truck, but he managed to get around the pylon. And he would lay down really the first good run we had on this track in qualifying at a 21.70 second run right in front of this guy who is trying to now gap himself. At this point, what you're seeing is Montana Robbins trying to get away from his brother in qualifying so they don't meet in the first round. Did mow down the turn marker, but did not get penalized for it because he hit it with the inside tires, not the outside, so he did not technically cut the corner. Ran a 24.53 second run. Not what he wanted in qualifying, but he was not sure where his brother was going to end up in the draw as our final qualifier came out. John Zimmer Sr. in the brand new PEI chassis, Uproar. Trying to better a 21.7 second run laid down by his teammate John Zimmer Jr. in terminal velocity. Round the outside marker. You can hear the throttle work as he runs 0.2 slower in Uproar, but that would help get him on the other side of the bracket for the first round. And that's where we're going to take you now. Highlights of our round one bracket. Terminal velocity and Little Miss Dangerous going toe-to-toe. A pair of Michigan machines. One being driven by a man originally out of the state of Vermont. The other by a lady out of the state of Texas. Still trying to find her footing in her first full season behind the wheel of a truck. And she has, again, not been gifted anything. She's struggling with traction, mechanical issues, and the weather. John Zimmer Jr. simply gapping her here. Wasn't pretty, but he would get to the finish line first as Athena Cozell would finish in the wrong lane. She was just trying to get to the end of that track. She could not get that truck to go where she wanted it to go. And again, down on this slop, she is really having a hard time getting anywhere with those nearly bald China tires on that truck that normally wouldn't be a problem on a track like this, but just really with no traction and all that slop, she is not getting what she wants out of it. Now, the two guys who absolutely did not want to meet in round one were the Robbins brothers. Crazy Train in the near lane, Plain Crazy in the far lane. Who would get this one? Both with an excellent start. Through the first turn, it would appear the Train had a major lead, but remember, they will close up this gap on the final corner. Could Montana Robbins do it? No, he cuts in through tight and spins out. Triton Robbins coming down the final stretch on a collision course with the Zimmer family. The family he wants a shot at right now to try to regain the points that he has lost over the first two rounds on this tour. Uproar and Colossus would be our final pairing in this first round. Elliott Miller looking toward maybe being the only one that has a shot at that fast loser position, and I only say that because Elliott Miller says he hates racing. Giving Zimmer a run here, really flying across the sand, but missed the turn, hoses down John Zimmer, and fails to cross the finish line legally. So the question at this point was, who is a fast loser going to be? 2 Zimmers, 1 Robbins there. We will find out who is in the Final Four when we come back to Naples. Stay with us.
There's only one place in the world you can find this much old school cool. Freedom Racing Monster Trucks. The home of Cyclops and Unmade and Untamed. Get yourself a limited edition toy at freedomracingmt.com.
Welcome back to a very soft and muddy Florida Sports Park here in Naples. Nothing new for Florida Sports Park. This whole track is usually underwater for the swamp buggies, but gets drained once a year for the monster trucks, and they like it a little bit drier out here. Of course, they did not get quite the track that we were hoping for as the rain rolled in early this morning, and you can see with the track work, they've been able to get as much as they possibly could back out of it as we go into a semifinal round race between Terminal Velocity, John Zimmer Jr., and the defending champ from the 2023 season, Triton Robbins in Crazy Train. The rivalry building between these two teams is very, very intense as the points leader, John Zimmer Jr., battles the defending champ, Triton Robbins. Robbins taking full advantage of that inside lane on the first turn. You can see his father looking on there down to the bottom of your screen into the final leg. Tried to hang on to it, but Zimmer got around him. There is just no traction on that bottom side. And I can tell you right now, on a dry track, I do believe Robbins might have had a shot to hang on to that thing. Watch it one more time. Good start for both. Again, Robbins taking full advantage of that inside turn. Nearly a perfect turn, gets away using the traction that there is on the upper part of this track to try to gap John Zimmer Jr. But watch Zimmer on the brake, slid into that turn. And just once he got on the hammer, as straight as he was, there was no chance of coming back for Triton Robbins. He had that, though. Again, on a dry track, he could have used that outside lane momentum to just drive right on through there. I don't know that Zimmer would have been able to stage that comeback on that final turn. Now, as the other semifinal matchup, we'll see Uproar going against Little Miss Dangerous. Athena Kozel, by the way, was the only truck to take a loss in the first round that actually crossed the finish line, even though she was in the wrong lane. Montana Robbins drove back to the pits, and Elliott Miller drove back to the pits. So that puts Kozel back on the line, but John Zimmer Sr. is going to walk away from her right now on the outside. She'll get in there, well, and she's not having any luck this afternoon as she spins out on the final corner. I'll tell you what a tough way to get into your first full season of action. Nothing cooperating with her here this weekend as, she finally got on a track where she really could have used the power that this truck has. And instead she was met with sloppy conditions. One more time coming down the final leg, and you can see Zimmer, who is going to need to run that outside lane perfectly because he will have John Jr. here in this championship bout. Going into the final round. Fans, though, out in force this weekend, not letting the wet weather stop them from enjoying an afternoon with the All-Stars. And here we are again, Terminal Velocity and Uproar for the championship fight. Who will take the racing victory here this afternoon? Both in the lane they want to be in. To the final leg, Can Junior take advantage of that inside lane? He does not. John Zimmer Sr. gets across the finish line first. However, was it a legal run? Indeed it was. Chuck Plumley waving off John Zimmer Jr. And John Zimmer Sr. will come to the victory stage. Watch it again. What a pairing. Right here you can see Junior was not able to do what he did to Triton Robbins. Watch him in this final turn. Tried to slide in there. Had a good turn, but he overcorrected coming out. And that allowed his father to slip past him only by about a half a truck length. We're going to watch it again from overhead. Again, CJ FPV with us again this weekend. And what an angle this is. This will give you a good idea of exactly the distance that they're running. They kind of close up right there. Watch John Zimmer Jr. on this inside turn. Does what he did before, but the truck didn't stick and stay straight. Right there. That little bit of a correction that he had to make cost him when he drove back the other way.
Look, you guys are getting muddy. I'm getting muddy. They said, hey, sit at the finish line. It'll be so fun, Chuck. It's not fun. Hey, these fans are having a lot of fun. Dude, this racing course is wild. You guys are slicking it up. You guys are having a lot of fun, but we still have Monster Truck Freestyle to go.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We got with Brian and Stacy, switched up the racetrack. Truly was a lot of fun. Definitely the mud right through here was really rough. It's rough on our trucks. People don't realize that, but that's a testament to Sendit Motorsports and the money that they put into these trucks for us. I mean, we just beat the snot out of them, and here's the outcome.
Well, here are the current standings coming out of racing. Terminal Velocity and Uproar still right there together. 1 and 2. Plain Crazy getting gapped right now. Not what he wanted. Colossus, Crazy Train, and Little Miss Dangerous rounding out the field. So no changes in the standings in terms of the order of the standings, but the gap is getting increased at the top, and that's something that the Robbins family and the defending champ did not want to see. Now, Athena Cozell and Little Miss Dangerous going to start us off in freestyle. And there you get a really good idea of just how hard it is for her to make traction out here. Take nothing away from her. She's been trying now for 3 rounds to find her footing in this truck. Day 1, dealing with slick conditions. Nothing like this, but dealing with slick conditions. Day 2, dealing with an engine issue. And now on day 3 of this series, dealing with even slicker conditions. Trying to find something to work with, and the obstacles are really down here on the worst part of the track. And there's nothing to sink your teeth into down here, but there's not much to hit up there. So you're really in a position of having to use what the truck is capable of doing, and again, trying to get used to how you throttle these trucks on different surfaces. Really, this is going to go toward her training, as she will have a lot of background driving on less than ideal tracks, and this could help her in the long run. Interested to see what she has for us when we reach the summer, because right now she is not able to really produce the kind of runs we know she's capable of. Laying it down here in front of the crowd, opening freestyle, and the engine is smoking again. That may just be mud getting up on those hot headers. We'll watch again as she took her shot at setting the pace here. And again, open front end with ball tires, and this much slop really not helping her in the long run. A score of 12 to start off freestyle. I know she's going to be disappointed in that, but believe me, before the end of the year, we're going to see something big out of that lady from Texas. Now as her teammate and boss, Elliott Miller, rolls out in Colossus. He's got that big block Sean horsepower built out of the state of Wisconsin. This truck out of the state of Michigan. Ionia, Michigan to be exact, the Christensen chassis, and Miller going right for a bouncing stoppie. Doing a nice job here is Miller, really becoming a guy that a lot of fans love watching when he comes out for freestyle, and the teams love watching him just as much because you never know what he's going to give you. He's a very, very unpredictable competitor. Him hopping his way across the center track there. Guys and gals have to be very careful going across the center of the track like that, because you see just to his left there's another sippy hole. Look at that hang time for Colossus. Getting in that lake back there. It really is a swamp here this weekend. Working the track for everything this truck will give him right now. He's going to have a lot of cleaning to do at the end of this one. Burning up the silt, and again, with nothing to hit up there, it's making it very difficult on these guys to really find something to work in their favor. That was an interesting choice right there. Not quite sure what he was going for, but I'm sure whatever was in his head, it was neat. So, Elliott Miller sliding to a stop here in front of the grandstands, again with his bouncing stoppie to get things opened up. Good run for Miller early in the competition. Had some good hang time, had a lot to offer the crowd. This was awesome, a score of 24 to take over the lead. We'll see how long that holds up, because he's got some heavy hitters coming up right behind him. Stay with us. More action from muddy Naples, Florida.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're going to go down memory lane.
Colossus leading the charge at a sandy but sloppy Florida Sports Park in Naples as we continue on with freestyle action. Already seen some big air out of Colossus, leading with a 24. Montana Robbins going to go after him right now in the other big blue Chevrolet on tour. Awesome looking C10, starting off nicely. Look at him drag the grill, just barely grazing the grains of sand here on the front stretch in the one dry spot on the bottom side of this track. See what he can do now. He's going to start picking up that pace. Going after that big hang time. A lot of sparks out of that rear diff. That's where the brakes are. They run driveline brakes on these trucks. So you get on and off the brakes a lot. You'll start seeing sparks out of those differentials. That's all that is. It's nothing to worry about. Sometimes they'll hang up. We have seen that, but I don't believe that's what was going on there. Nice hang time for Robbins out onto the first island. And I mentioned it before, there's really not a whole lot out there for these guys to hit, as the track construction was interrupted by the torrential rains this morning. It just would not let up. And the priority one became trying to clear this front stretch for as much of the water as they could. And unfortunately, they were only able to get so much off. So out there at the center of this thing on the infield, where they really would have liked to have had more to play with, there's not a lot out there. They're working with what they've got, though, burning up the sod and the silt. Didn't quite have the angle on that one. Now he knows he's got to make up for that move right there. What's he got? Gliding out onto the island there. Plain crazy. Sailing into the wild blue yonder as he works the track, coming down to the end of his freestyle run. Sliding to a stop. First Captain Montana Robbins, the Empire Flyer, giving the fans something to keep them warm down here in South Florida. Well, it's not too cold out here today. Kind of nice weather. It was nasty when we came in here this morning, but it warmed up a little bit. Look at this. That was awesome right there. Just barely grazing the grill on this beautiful C10. Doesn't want to tear this thing up just yet. He ran a real ragged body on this thing for the last 2 years, and finally getting him different look on this thing, and a score of 25 will take over the lead by 1 point in front of this man, Papa Zimmer, out of Howell, Michigan, by way of Arlington, Vermont. Let off right there. Not what way he wanted to start letting off, and I do believe had the track been dry, he might have taken a shot at a bicycle right there, but as wet as it is down here on this front stretch, you do not want to get that thing over on its sidewalls. It's going to be very hard to bring it back down, let alone flip it back over. Big air shot going away for Papa Zimmer in Uproar, that brand new Patrick chassis machine with the Richard Midget horsepower in the back, the electronic fuel injection, and that's that electronic fuel injection that we've been seeing get integrated into more and more of these monster trucks, and a lot of guys have been struggling with it. Some guys don't like it. These guys seem to have found the secret, and they spent a lot of time working on these trucks. Zimmer mowing down the weeds out there on the bank of the oval. See that camera get shook every time he goes by. He's hosing down the front stretch crew, including the announcers and Brian Wagner. So, one want to say John's not afraid to make a statement. He just soaked the promoter and the announcer in mud as well as the camera crew. So see what he's got left for the crowd here in Naples. Slinging the sand in South Florida, the North Star Ranch Contract Carriers Send It Motorsports uproar. John Zimmer Sr., he got a lot out of that obstacle right there. 2 good hits off of that thing. There's not much of a ramp there, but there was enough. He'd drop onto the track. A lot of sideways landings. Look at that, a 29, 1 point at the top. And he's got this guy behind him, Triton Robbins, trying to gain back the points losses he's had in Crazy Train. Look at the zoom. He's just firing mud up the side of that truck, soaking it in wet sand and then drying it almost immediately. That is how hot the pressure is coming out of those pipes. But this truck sounds awesome every time it blasts by. Look at him going up on the bank. They're using anything they can to try to gain a little traction. Nicely done, the heavyweight Eddie Micah built machine out of New York. Going after Papa Zimmer right now. We're going to keep that momentum up. And again, when they get down here, you can see it just drags them down to a stop. They have to regain traction and try to get something out of any distance they have. What's he got up his sleeve right now? Not going to work it. The silk is just so loose, the front tires will not get a hold of it. Look at the swoosh of dried mud up the side of this truck. That was a nice one. Out onto the front stretch. Triton Robbins in Crazy Train right now going after a 29. It is going to be a hard one to get a hold of. Where does he end up? Not a bad run at all. He did a couple things no one else has done yet. Plenty of hang time in the run. The momentum was good. The only thing that might hurt him was he had the one failed stoppie going up onto that first island, onto the pit island. And that might end up hurting me. 26. I don't know if he's going to agree with that score. We'll see. And again, he had a move that no one else did when he came this way onto the front stretch with that big air. The problem is, this guy just saw him do it. John Zimmer Jr. out of Howell, Michigan by way of Arlington, Vermont. The North Star Ranch Contract Carriers Terminal Velocity, part of the Send It Motorsports camp. And he did indeed see Triton Robbins do that. Going after the 29 that John Zimmer Sr. laid down in uproar. Terminal Velocity again. John Jr. finding himself in a position where he's got to go after his father and teammate. Look at this. Had to find it right there. By the way, twice now he's almost taken out that drone that's flying around him. I know we haven't brought you a whole lot of footage from those guys, but a big tip of the hat to the CJFPV crew this weekend. trying to keep their drones clean in less than ideal conditions. And believe me, just because they're up in the air does not mean that they're not getting muddy too. They have had to land those things 2 or 3 times and wipe the lenses off. Where is he going? Again, just with the huge hang time. There goes the bedside. You just saw the whole thing come apart back there. It's just body panels. Didn't hurt the truck any. They get a good look at the suspension and engine bay. Huge hang time. Wild landing. The tailgate comes flying off. He's not worried about it any. The grounds crew seeks shelter from the rooster tails. This crowd came to see huge air. The sippy hole is out of the question. So these guys are delivering with what they can. And he just showered down the entire front stretch crew with sand and mud. Thanks, Johnny. As they wrap up Freestyle right there. That had to be the takeover run. What a run for John Zimmer Jr. in terminal velocity. Massive hang time all the way through this thing. Then kicked the bedside off right there, lost the tailgate a little bit later, and just going move to move on this thing. Trying to keep that momentum up was number 1. Did he do it? He did. A perfect 30 for John Zimmer Jr. in terminal velocity, and this is where the points end up at the end of this weekend. You can see Plain Crazy sitting in that number 3 spot. Losing a little bit of ground here to terminal velocity and uproar. 168 points at the top of this thing. Uproar at 151. And then you see Plain Crazy needing to make a big gain as of our next competition, which will also be down here in the state of Florida. Colossus, Crazy Train, and Little Miss Dangerous rounding out the field. It has been a wild one. A big tip of the hat to the grounds crew, the front stretch crew, the fans, and all these drivers for making the most of a wet and wild one here in Naples, Florida. We'll have more action coming at you from South Florida. We'll see you then.
This Back Channel Productions presentation has been brought to you by Gemini Associates. Whether you live upstairs, downstairs, or anywhere in general, we are here to serve.
I'm a sissy little baby boy who doesn't like getting wet.